Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day. So about 7 months ago, I did a video saying that the number of people that are done with COVID restrictions is growing every day. You can see that it's almost at a 10% dislike rate. When I discuss anything related to COVID, it tends to get a higher dislike rate than other content that I do here. And the title of the particular article I was talking about was about people deleting a COVID application from their phone. It is an application that's supposed to tell you when to self-isolate. It's a little contact tracing app to try and stop the spread of COVID. And one of the things that I said in that video is I think it's going to be more and more difficult to get people to install an application on their phone that in any way, shape, or form is going to be keeping track of where they went or who they were near, because that's an encroachment on people's privacy that they're not willing to accept. And something happened recently that really did vindicate a lot of the privacy advocates that were in the comment section of that video, that article, and articles like it in Germany. So this here comes from dw.com. It says German police under fire for misuse of COVID contact tracing app. German police used a contact tracing application to track down witnesses in a local crime case. The scandal has data protection advocates up in arms, with politicians warning that abuse of the app could undermine public trust. No shit. So apparently they were looking for witnesses to somebody that fell to their death after leaving a restaurant. And while trying to track down witnesses, police and prosecutors managed to successfully petition local health authorities to release data from the Luca app, which logs how long people stayed in an establishment. Now, something that is important to note here, the police did not threaten the health authorities. The police did not hack the health authorities. To be clear, I don't understand how the criminal justice system works in Germany. Here in the United States, if you want access to certain information like that, you typically need to get a warrant. You need to go before a judge. You need to present your case as to why you need this information on somebody. Whether you're wiretapping them or trying to get access to location data on their phone, stuff like this, you typically need a warrant. You need to go before a judge, show probable cause, and they are going to look for it. And it doesn't mention here at all that they actually got a warrant or whatever the equivalent of this would be within Germany's criminal justice system. They just said, hey, health authorities, would you mind just giving us access to this information that really has nothing to do with COVID and this app that you're using? You try and track and stop the spread of COVID. And it looks like, from what we see here, they're like, yeah, sure, here you go. And that is a serious problem. That is one of the reasons I imagine you had many people deleting this app from their phone. This is one of the reasons that I imagine you have many people that when they walk into a restaurant and they say, hey, can you leave your name for the contact tracing, that they will write down a fake name or a fake phone number, because I think people are tired of being tracked everywhere they go. We've let so much of the tip in over the past 20 years, whether it's the Patriot Act, whether it is allowing Google and Facebook to infiltrate our lives to the extent that they have. Privacy is so close to being dead in so many parts of the world, and we get it. We don't have privacy. But when you actually just kind of go there and just smash our faces in it, it is particularly insulting to large groups of people. And obviously, this is not going to get more people to utilize the contact tracing app or trust their government. It says authorities then reached out to 21 potential witnesses based on the data they had unlawfully acquired from the app. Reports on the case, which emerged last week, sparked widespread outrage. Thank God. Public prosecutors in Maine said a statement that they've launched an inquiry and are ensuring that the relevant data will not be used further. Yeah, okay, it won't be used further, but we know that you used some of it already. We know that you have the ability to use it already. We know that you have pretty much a handshake agreement to, without going to a court, just give this information away. So why would people trust you now? What does the app do? The Luca app works by logging the amount of time that patrons spent at a restaurant, bar, or cultural event. Users enter their personal information into the app. They can then scan a QR code at a restaurant or event and log out when they leave. In the event that someone tests positive for COVID-19, local health authorities can more easily identify and alert people who may have been exposed to the virus. Yeah. Is it worth it to give up your privacy entirely in order to potentially stop the spread of a virus that it seems like at this point just about everybody's getting anyway? This is one of the things that people were saying in the comments section of this video 7 months ago. And it's really sad when it is this predictable what is going to happen and just how long it takes for it to happen. And they say, this is going to get misused. No, it's not. You're paranoid. It's taking less time, less and less time now for the conspiracy to become reality. The app is also subject to Germany's strict data protection laws, and I'm confident that they're going to hold the police to account on that one. Let's see how that works out. Now, they said that in the early stages of the pandemic, people had to write their contact details on a piece of paper, so this is a little bit better than that when it comes to, because again, you have a lot of people that would just write down a fake name. I'm definitely not one of those people that values their privacy enough to write down a fake name. The only way to retrieve the data is if the local health department and establishment both give consent to unencrypted personal data. Once it is no longer encrypted, only local health departments are permitted to have access to personal details of the patrons. Furthermore, the data can only be used in the event of chasing a potential infection chain. Can only be used in the event of chasing a potential infection chain. That's what they tell you, and then there's the reality. What has the response been? The app's developers, Culture for Life, sharply criticized the actions of the authorities in Mainz. We condemn the abuse of Luca data collected to protect against infections, the company said in a statement. Culture for Life added that it receives frequent requests for data from law enforcement, but those requests are routinely denied. Members of Germany's ruling coalition, which comprises the Social Democrats, Greens, and Free Democrats, have also voiced concern over the case. Konstantin von Notz, I apologize if I mispronounced that, a senior member of the Greens, warned that abuse of the app could undermine public trust and hamper efforts to stem rising COVID-19 cases. We must not allow faith in digital apps, which are an important tool in the fight against COVID-19, to disappear. Too late! Some politicians even called for people to delete the app from their phones, a position staunchly opposed by one of the app's developers. German rapper Smudo helped develop the app and is a business partner in the venture to enable his bands and other musical apps to once again perform live. I think it's irresponsible that calls from one or two politicians who I've never heard of before could lead to prompt people in the middle of this pandemic situation to delete the Luca app, Smudo told the mass circulation Bild newspaper. One of the things that I find interesting here is I actually Googled that gentleman to see what some of the reactions were, and I Google translated it, and it seems like even in other countries, people's response to celebrities telling them what to do with their lives seems to be very similar to what's going on in the United States right now, where people that value their privacy and realize that their privacy is being abused by their local authorities may not want to continue to give more power and more control and more information to those local authorities, regardless of what a local rapper says. Whoever is clinging to the edge of a cliff simply doesn't throw away a rope, the rapper said. I am very curious what you all think of this. Now, again, at the end of the day, this is a different application than the application that was being talked about in the video that I did here. But at the end of the day, a little bit of that slippery slope argument still applies. This app is done differently than this other app. But if you're going to have people install an application on their phone to try and track and prevent the spread of COVID, then somebody else may make an app, and that app may include more information, and that information may be shared with more authorities. And I get the idea, the slippery slope argument, that the only way to nip this in the ass is to say in the very beginning, nope, I'm going to travel. I'm not going to tell you my name. I'm not going to give you my phone number when I enter your store. I'm not going to give you my number, or not going to allow you access to my phone and my location data and where I was and who I was around all the time. Nope, not doing that. I can kind of understand where people that made that argument were 7 months ago. And by the way, I was one of those people 7 months ago. And I'm very curious what it is you all think here. Do you have any sense of trust that any sort of personal identifying information that identifies where you were, who you were around, and when you were where you were is going to be utilized properly? Or are you one of those people that's saying, no, screw that. I'm not giving you any of my information. I'm willing to put on a mask. I'm willing to get a vaccine, but no, this is not something that I'm doing. That's something else that they also said in this article. It says the case exemplifies concerns voiced by data protection experts. It also plays into the hands of protest groups that staunchly oppose all pandemic curbs and voice skepticism over COVID vaccinations, politicians have warned. Yet, as somebody that got both COVID vaccines, as someone that wore a mask in the beginning of the pandemic, as someone that's more than happy to take basic common sense measures to not spread a virus, there is absolutely no way in hell I am giving you access to my phone. God only knows how much Mark Zuckerberg and Sundar Pichai are tracking me as is. There's no way in hell I am giving anybody else more access to track me than what is already going on in our modern dystopia. I'm not doing it. I don't care what it's for. I don't care what you tell me the reason is. I don't give a fuck. I grew up in the age of the Patriot Act. I grew up in the age of, yes, I know this is really not what the Fourth Amendment had in mind, but we have to stop terrorists, so please let us do it. I promise we won't misuse it. I'm not interested in doing that again. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that I'm being an extremist? Do you think that this is ignorant? Do you think that my skepticism of giving up even more of my personally identifiable data is wrong, incorrect, and short-sighted, given that we have a virus spreading around the world? Or do you think that I am right in my stance that I don't trust this, I didn't trust it when it came out, I don't want to install it on my phone, and I don't want more reasons to track me as I go about my daily life on a regular basis, simply because we now have a new danger in the form of a virus? I got to get some new lighting in this place. I'm particularly excited to get this place set up exactly as I'd like. I want to be nice to the landlord, so I don't want to put panels on the wall and hang them and you know, put a bunch of marks here, because she painted everything real nice and did everything really just absolutely lovely landlord. So what I was thinking of doing is, they have these acoustic foam you can put up, and supposedly, I don't know how true this is, but supposedly there is adhesive that you can put, that you can use to hang the acoustic foam, and then you can easily peel it off in a manner that doesn't destroy the paint. Because I actually don't want to mess up the paint job here, because again, I actually like this landlord. She's very kind, nice, and accommodating. And I know that I'm only going to be here temporarily until I find a more permanent residence in the form of a place that I own. So I don't really want to, you know, like mess it up or anything like that. And I sure as hell don't want to repaint it, because I've painted before, and when I paint, all the paint ends up on me and none of it on the walls. So I'm going to get myself some little bit of a better lighting setup, because I don't have any lights. And I'd like to get myself some acoustic foam stuff once I figure out if there actually is a type of adhesive that will not ruin the paint in the walls. If any of you know if that actually exists, I'd highly appreciate it. Anyway, that's it for today. As always, hope you learned something. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.